comedy mushroom cult podcast. As songstress of our generation, Olivia Rodrigo would say, it's always two steps forward and one step back. Um, what's up? Maybe it's one step forward, two steps back. I don't remember the song exactly. I don't remember the two steps forward and one step back. It's still progress. I've never really understood that whole thing. Like, obviously. I mean, it would be better if we could just take one step forward and no steps back. But, like, two steps forward and one step back, it's like, okay, we still made some progress here. Where's the downside to that? Maybe it's because it just seems like it's worse. Is that the idea behind this age-old saying that for no reason? Oh, that's the reason. We're going to have an ADHD podcast today because it's one of those fun things where, like, as soon as the ball starts rolling in a very positive direction, technology or whatever wants to get in the fucking way. Like, at the end of this episode, I'm gonna tack on. It's just audio apparently, because that's just what. That's here's what you don't do when you have an interview with somebody. You like want to double check. Like all signs pointed towards it being a video podcast. I made sure the settings were all correct and everything. But instead, the fine people at Riverside podcast recording decided that I just wanted audio. And even when I like uploaded the thing, it was like preparing the video, and then it said like something went wrong, and then I put in a ticket, like because you have to talk to their AI bot because you can't ever just talk to a human being anymore. Talk to an AI bot, being like, "Hey, it told me to reach out to you," and then it's like, "Okay, there's no humans available. They'll get back to you within 24 hours," and then like 8 hours later, they're like, "We have no idea what you're talking about. It says everything's uploaded fine." Like, okay, your fucking computer thing, your program told me to reach out to you. So long story short, there's an interview with Darcy Weir. He's a documentarian. It's a very he's a what he does, and I kind of talk about it at the beginning of talking to him. Is like I've been like people have been reaching out to me lately. Very, very interesting people. Like I had a psychic medium reach out. I got an email this morning from like a mental health like Sufi, which I'm gonna reach back out to her and see if she wants to come on because I mean obviously I want to talk to as many unhinged people as possible. And like I told Darcy, I mean that in a complete as a compliment. I love it when people are committed to their dumb shit thing. Like I have my dumb shit things. We've talked about it multiple times. Everybody's got their thing that they super care about, and it's very stupid. All of it's very dumb. And I like it when people want to like look at that side of things. And apparently my little rant about your inside world doing the outside world stuck with this Sufi lady. But my interview with Darcy went super well. Of course, technology's a fucking bitch, so like I'm gonna try to do the best I can with that. If you're an audio listener, you might not even notice. This is gonna go up late for audio. It's gonna be good for video. I'll put like a post about it. I was gonna do the Darcy interview as like as an audio bonus since that's been like growing so quickly. So that means that you guys have either been sharing it or I've been doing a better job or whatever, and I feel like the first one's more likely than the second one. But no, we're everything like the ball's going, and our like now the audio platform is down, and it happens from time to time. The not to do like business out in the open. When Joe Briggs and I were running this podcast, and he's going to be on the podcast here in a couple of weeks. I'm very excited for that. He's going to be in Chicago, and we're gonna do an episode. So that'll be a good time. Very excited for that. I love Joe Briggs more than most people love family members. But yeah, so we signed up with like our with Golden Ox Studio, and I, like a couple of times he's like thought that he might not do it anymore, and that's fine, perfectly fine. So like sometimes like the hosting site gets a little wonky, and like since I'm not in control of it, I can't just like go in and switch my RSS feed over. So, please be patient in that situation. If you're missing this, go to the YouTube. The YouTube I completely control, so I can put it up there. Go to the YouTube anyways. If you're watching this on the YouTube, subscribe, rate, review, all that dumb bullshit. I'm trying to grow the YouTube out so that way, it's like the closest way to running your own thing. Obviously, it still goes through like their censorship program and their algos and XYZ and the Google company and Alphabet and all of that will make it a little bit more difficult for like certain things to go out. I mean, we can't talk about the atrocities Israel is putting out on the world regularly and expect the companies that fund Israel to be super psyched about it. But it's still like as of today, as of right now, April 8th, 2026. It's still technically a free society, as free as we can get. So I would like to build up my YouTube a little bit more, and then that way when I can film something. That's kind of loosely the plan for this year. I'd like to build up the YouTube numbers to a certain point, and then that way I can pay somebody to record me in a good way and put out not a special, just like a little sampling of what your boy does here. Um, so we have that in the works. So if anything, this is making people go to the YouTube to get this. But that's just like a fun little. And then like follow me on the stuff at Ray Roberts Comedy on everything. Tell your dumb friends about it. We have like cool shit coming up. Like a photographer reached out to be on the show. So like the show might be changing a tad bit, which is good. I still want to do like my dumb bullshit up top, and then talk to people at the end. So I mean, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Maybe snag some people who like interviews and are into weird shit, and then have them come on our side. Like that's why I talked to Darcy Weir. He's a documentarian about cult-like activities in the UFO community. Ufology is what it's called. So like even if you don't like if you're not like a UFO person or like into conspiracies, one, I don't know why you're here. Because conspiracies are news now, brother. Uh but like it was a fun, interesting interview, and I'm gonna put a link to like his documentaries. They're fun. They're like, even if you don't care about aliens or like this is about like the secret space program, if you like Bravo shows, this is like right up your alley. It's messy. If you like Netflix docs on like true crimey shit, it's like right up that alley. So it may not be exactly what you're into on like if you're not like a UFO person or like you don't particularly care about the different kinds of aliens in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base versus Area 51. Like all like if you don't know all the lore of that, that's fine. But check it out if you like messy like Netflix docs, cuz it's fun, it's interesting, and we talk about it a little bit in the interview, and it was a good time. It was nice connecting with him. He got a nice little shot in at the end there, so that's perfect for our podcast. Is he was and it's one of he's not wrong. Like these people are stealing money from dipshits every day, and they need to be protected. And or at least know that they're getting like the grift is getting to them. But like he's like, yeah, there's no reason why this shouldn't be on like a larger platform. And like, yeah, it should be on a larger platform, but I'm the platform you got. So so that's what it is. You reached out to me, all right? That's where you're at. No, I'm just like, but it's very fun. He was a very cool guy. It was very fun talking to him. he had there's some real crazy shit where um people who are working on metamaterials at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, scientists have gone missing here lately. I think there's been like 3 or 4 of them over the past year that have like just disappeared. Now we're like heading towards World War III, so we talk about that. So it's a pretty interesting interview. It's a good time, and it's worth checking out. But because of that, I mean, I don't want people to see a fucking 8 hour long episode, and get dissuaded from it on the YouTube. And again, that's just gonna be audio because sometimes that's just how the fucking cookie crumbles. Um, because technology, man. And then if we have to change out the audio platform, we'll figure that out. We've switched before, and there was like a slight delay in the numbers and shit like that, and we're real excited to have to fucking deal with all that again. But things are rolling, things are looking good, and I appreciate all of you. Um, but yeah, there's the business on the front end of that. Weird couple days, guys. I don't know if you paid attention to the news. I guess we could start on Easter, with our beloved president praising Allah, and telling Iran to open up the fucking Strait of Hormuz. He said "fucking" on Easter, and again, people. It's so funny how people are clutching their pearls over that. This is not how a leader talks on Easter. And it's like, come on, guys, fucking. What we're not gonna do, what we cannot do, is frame this as like, oh, so you want to be super religious, so we use like the religious argument to back it off. Like, this is how they make this a theocracy, guys. Is us like playing the moral high ground on religion. And I do it too, to point out different things, but I think it's pretty well known that it is to undermine the whole situation. Like, you can't, like, yes, obviously, you can't use religion as like a reason for gay people not to be married, or for trans people identifying how they want to identify. We can push that in people's faces, like fucking Kristi Noem's dumb bimbo husband. Like, in any other day, that would be perfectly fine. Like, we don't give a fuck if he's into bimbos. We don't give a fuck if he is a bimbo. You want to put inflated balloons underneath your shirt and look like a fucking idiot just to get off, go for it, right? We're not going to kink shame anybody on this podcast. But, like, what you can't do is be married to Kristi Noem and be into that shit when they, like, keep trying to, like, religionize things and like make it so like they have like a godlike reason for everything they're doing, and then do ungodly things. Like, you can't spit right in the face of everything that you're saying. I understand that. But like, we also can't just like rub it in their faces when they don't do what they say they're like. We were very close to fucking probably nuclear war yesterday. Now, is Trump a big bitch and not actually going to do it and to like talk a big game and then back off at the end? That's kind of what he does. But I mean, that's also like Obama did that with Syria when there was like that you can't cross this red line, and then Russia crossed the red line or Syria crossed the red line, whichever way it was. I forget exactly. And then we were just like, okay, well, you can't put like a thing like red line and not do anything. It makes you look weak. But also, like, that's probably the right choice. So if you didn't pay attention at all yesterday, we woke up to Trump saying that, what was it? An entire civilization will die tonight. He didn't want it to happen, he said in the message. But he basically said that they were going to fucking bomb them into the Stone Age. And that usually means nukes. That usually means bad things. And then near the deadline, and like, if you've been paying attention to sources that aren't just in our country, I've been watching a couple like different podcasts that they're talking to people outside of our administration and outside of our news programs. Like, if you're sharing the New York Times or like the New Yorker or CNN or Fox News, like, you need to know NBC, CBS, owned by the Adelsons and all that shit. Like, you need to know that, like, that's tainted. Like, that's not the whole story. And it happens under, like, this isn't like a brand new thing under this administration. Our media for decades has kowtowed to whatever political party is in the Oval Office because they want access to those people so they can make more money instead of putting out stories about like they want to keep the Trump administration happy. So they're going to put out, like, they're a little bit more abrasive with him, but like you can tell, like, the stories that, or like anytime somebody's asking a question in a thing, he'll like fire back and be like, what a rude question, or you're like a little piggy, or whatever the fuck. And then, like, that'll be the story, not the fucking actual thing that they were asking about, right? Because that's going to get more clicks. So you have to be careful of, like, what you're taking in and how you put. But, like, some of the stuff that I've been watching is, like, they all pretty much have called that he's just going to be blustering and then go to the edge and then back off until he doesn't. And yesterday he did that. And people they call him Taco Trump. And it's like, it's something about how he always, like, chickens out. Trump always chickens out. And that's fine. You know, like, if it's the difference, if the difference between talking shit when you start an illegal war. And I saw a video yesterday where it's like maybe this was like on purpose to make everybody rely more on U.S. oil than Middle Eastern oil. That's a great idea. I don't think he thinks that far into it. I think he's just finding a way to make himself more money. He's playing the market where he's going to say, we're going to bomb them to the Stone Ages, and then everybody gets all wonky and nervous so he can short sell things. And then on a fucking Tuesday, like, I'm sure that the markets are up today because of the ceasefire news, and all of his fucking cronies are making more money off of the stock market. That's not like a conspiracy. That's just how he's operating, right? But, like, what we can't do is, like, when he backs off at the last moment, just be like, what a pussy. He won't even see. He never goes through with it. Because this is what we know about this fucking psychopath. Is, like, he probably will go through with it just because people are saying that he won't go through with it. And I, like, hold people accountable. We need to be like, hey, what a dumb strategy to, like, risk the lives of millions of people with just, like, commentary and blustery words of, like, threatening to destroy an entire civilization. Like, we can't do that just to, like, get things done, because that's gonna raise tensions, and then, like, somebody's gonna do something stupid, and then we're in fucking World War III and a nuclear holocaust. Like, we can't be talking that way. Nobody's saying that we shouldn't point out that he can't talk that way. But, like, today, the same people who were like, why are we at work today? It may be, I was one of these people, because it's like, and I mean, I wasn't scheduled to work. Like, that's why I wasn't at work yesterday. Come on, guys. But, like, we can't, like, dance on this, like, he's a big bitch. Like, cool. Even if the strategy was to talk shit and back off at the end, that's kind of international relations. Like, you have to threaten something and see where it's going. You have to, like, it's all leverage. Now, did he show that we have no leverage because he's going to back off at the last minute because it's not a good money play to bomb an entire country to death? Sure. You know, like, we have, like, it's not hard to see his fucking plans. But it's the same thing of, like, hey, now that, like, MAGA people are like, this isn't what I signed up for, do they deserve to be shamed? Yes. Do they deserve to be punished? Yes. But, like, right at this moment, when we're in a war that we need to get out of, this may not be the time for scorekeeping. We can come back to it. Okay, guys? Like, this is, like, we can always come back and be like, yo, this was fucked up and we need to fix this. But right this second isn't when we need to call Trump a pussy. While Israel's still bombing Lebanon, in Iran is saying that they're going to shut the strait down again because Israel's breaking the ceasefire by bombing one of their allies. Like, this isn't over. And now with, like, everybody saying we knew that he'd back off at the last minute, this Taco Trump fucking pussy bitch. Like, all of those all of those troops are still over there. All of those bombers are still over there. All of the ordinances are still, like, everything's still there. And we're gonna, like, pick at him? Like, we already know Iran's picking at him. We're gonna pick at him too? And yes, put our boots on their fucking throats. They need to. I'm going to a protest this afternoon. I went to one yesterday. We need to tell them not to go to. We need to pull this motherfucker out of the White House and fucking, for the lack of putting myself in some sort of weird legal trouble, something bad needs to happen to this guy by the hands of the citizenry. Like, I saw a post of, like, Mussolini didn't go to court. They didn't put him through the fucking justice system. They put him on a post, and everybody got a whack at him, okay? Like, we're in that territory now, where somebody needs to do it. But what's not going to help is calling him a pussy and pushing him towards, like, do you want to be right so bad that this guy is bad for the world that you're willing to push him to nuke another country? Now, it's, like, easy to say that when it's not your country staring down the barrel of the nuclear weapon. It's easy to be like, oh, he's a big bitch, and we knew he wouldn't do it. It's easy to do that when they're threatening to bomb somewhere on the other side of the world. When in the same city, if somebody's bombing Chicago or New York or LA or Detroit or somewhere, right? That's when you're going to be like, we need to make some sort of deal to make this stop. And you almost wouldn't care that it's Taco Trump. You want him to do the thing to make them stop killing people. Because it's your place. But we were so close to the end of the world yesterday, it seemed like. And people are so quick today to be like, well, what a bitch. Like, yesterday, we were like, you can't just talk to other places like that. You can't just, like, be blustery and threaten things like that. The importance in this matter is, like, way too big for you just to be saying empty words and threats. And then today, it's like, you bitch. It's like, come on, guys. We can't play both sides of this. Like, we still need to worry about paying rent today because he didn't bomb this other country. And you're, like, yes, Trump's the worst, okay? But what's not, and by zero means should we, like, take our foot off the gas of pressuring them, of not to go into war illegally, not to make everything more expensive for everybody, not to be arresting our friends and neighbors just because they look different than us. There's by no means do we need to take the pressure off of him. But we're challenging him basically to continue this bombing. We knew that he would back off. No, you didn't. 24 hours ago, we were all like, motherfuck, we're all gonna die. We're going to nuke Iran. Russia's going to nuke us. They're going to nuke whoever. You know, like, this was 24 hours ago. Now today people are, like, dancing on Trump's grave. Like, when this is nowhere near fucking figured out. Like, it makes no sense for us to be doing that. But it is protest season. I went to a protest yesterday. That's what we did it. You guys are welcome. Obviously, the world's still here. Me and the other 50 nice white people. It was a pretty multicultural situation, but it's always nice white people that get it done. Walking down the sidewalk from Federal Plaza down to Trump Tower with our police escort. And I'm pretty like the No Kings thing where it's like organized and the cops are there to like give us our approved route. Like yesterday the cops did a pretty good job of like they kept us on the sidewalk, whatever. But like they made sure that like traffic was stopped for us. Like that's a big thing. Like they want to make sure that we're safe as well. So I mean, shout out to the Chicago Police Department for yesterday. I'm sure they did something deplorable during the day or somewhere else, but they made sure that we were on track, and they deserve to be like when people make a right decision, they deserve to be rewarded. Not rewarded, but like, hey, you guys did a good job. You didn't get in the way of our protest. It wasn't a large one. I mean, also doing a protest at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday, not the best idea. People are still getting off work. Now, I understand the idea of like trying to get the people to like come on or like join on. But it's like, come on, guys. Like, we do it at 7. Do it at like the one today is at 6 that I'm going to go to. Like, that's more of a better. People have time to like de stress from work. It's more convenient. Yeah, like the fucking stock market ticker right now. The S&P's up 2.5% as of right now. Probably because of the fake ceasefire. Trump's going to make his money and then he'll go off of that. Speaking of making money, before we talk to Darcy Weir here, AurandTServices.com. That is AURANDT services.com. Residential, commercial cleaning in the Northeast Ohio region. So if you need something residentially or commercially cleaned in Northeast Ohio, call Daniel. Go to AurandTServices.com. AURANDT services.com. Get your shit clean. All right? We're not going to do a 4-minute commercial for him this time. But if you need something cleaned, go do it. If you need something advertised, let me know. But yeah, the rest of this is going to be my interview with Darcy Weir. If you're one of the people who watches on YouTube and just like plays it in the background, this is perfect for you. We're going to have the audio up right after this. If you're an audio listener, whenever you hear this, thank you for being patient with me on that. We'll have this up and rolling as soon as possible. Of course, when things are going well, we have to have like an extra hurdle. But that's just the game. But at Ray Roberts Comedy on everything. Stay safe out there. We love you. Have a good day. Bye.
We have a guest on this episode. I've actually watched so much of this guy over like the last few weeks. He reached out to me, or his production team reached out to be on here. And this is gonna sound like not a compliment, but I swear to God that it is. I've had like a bunch of psychos reaching out to me lately, and I'm just because of the name of the podcast. And I absolutely love that because I love when anybody's super serious about what they do. There was like a psychic medium that reached out, and then like that fell through. So then when this popped up, I was like, this sounds like right up my alley. This guy's a documentarian. The projects I watched were the Dark Alliance Inside Story of Cosmic Con, and then Dark Alliance: The Next Generation. Darcy Weir, welcome to the podcast.
Hey man, good to be here with you, Ray. Looking forward to chatting. And yeah, man, I appreciate what you usually cover, comedic stuff and a little bit of conspiracy mixed in, right?
Well, and that's kind of so like when I saw that you reached out and or your production team, whatever, whoever it is, they the original point of this podcast was me and my buddy were going to like break down different like religions and cults and then like take one of their rules and then like add it to our own thing. So like when I started watching your documentary, I was like, okay, sick, ancient aliens-esque kind of like kitschy weird thing, and then I see it's like kind of tearing down the inside of it because it is. I never even really thought of it that it is kind of set up like a cult, and that was like super. Like, how do you even get into that specific kind of run of things?
Well, like I've been working in documentary filmmaking for over a decade. I published like the first films back in 2012, 2016, and then it just carried on from there. But
Okay,
they were very like UFO centric, and I do think that there is a UFO phenomenon, right? Like I think there's evidence of that through so many events that have happened in history.
for
But
sure.
when you immerse yourself in this UFO community and you look at all of these um, events that have happened and you hear testimony over and over again, you start to get exposed to the real influencers and like UFO cult leaders. Um, and I always wanted to just kind of like document that because you could talk about UFO phenomenon for forever, right? It seems like it's still going on, and we get these releases, and the government's talking about disclosure now and all that stuff. But then the community itself is documentable, and those figures that stand higher than everybody else tend to have a flock. Um, and I'm interested in people, I'm interested in their stories. So sometimes when you're telling a UFO story, you are focusing on the people themselves
Mhm.
and how they feel or how they portray um, what happened to them, whether they say they've been abducted or not, that type of thing. I'm off on a tangent here, but yeah, that's how I started getting into covering the Dark Alliance material that you've watched recently.
Well, and that's like I mean, first of all, the first thing that I noticed once you got on camera is just banger sweaters, dude. Like, I was so impressed by whoever did the styling on it. I was like, what are we doing here? He looks too nice to be like interviewing these like weird super soldiers and shit. Like, do these people know what they're signing up for when they come talk to you, or is it like under the veil of like, hey, I'm one of you? But like just give me your story and then it goes after that.
Uh, so for the most recent Dark Alliance, the Next Generation, I was at a secret space conference. So this
Okay,
uh, UFO conference was essentially people like that say they've been in space and they've done all these like secret space program missions.
sure.
And that was the first and the last secret space program conference I ever attended. Um, I was presenting there, and I was presenting on stuff from the Apollo manned missions, which we have a lot of photos from the Apollo Lunar Surface Journal, which is a public website. For whatever reason, NASA uploaded original photos. Those got scrutinized, and people found UFOs or anomalies in them. And then they re uploaded the same photos with all that stuff scrubbed. But I digress. So I was showing stuff like that at the conference, which is like very factual.
Sure.
And I got a chance to sit down with Tony Rodriguez, who's a secret space program whistleblower, and Chris O'Connor, who's more like a galactic Federation guy. He says that he was part of like the Galactic Federation in a sort of United Nations ambassador type role. And I got to sit down and talk with them to include that stuff in my doc. And, you know, when I sent you another link, I sent you like an episodic Dark Alliance doc that's been out on Tubi for about 2 years now. And that, when I released that, I intended to eventually release Secret Space Program whistleblower testimony in the latter doc, which is the next generation. But I wanted to establish a foundation for viewers to understand where the Secret Space Program really took off, and that was at Gaia TV with the help of producer Jay Widener,
Yes.
who basically created the extremely popular theory that's still being talked about today with all these whistleblowers and stuff. Anyways, so I sat down at that conference in 2021 with those guys, and I got them to sign off on that being released in my documentary last year in 2025.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's, I think they wanted their story out there and they got it out there.
Oh, for sure. And it's a very, and I mean, well, the Gaia angle can like I think if you're even tangentially like into like any sort of conspiracy stuff, because like on my side, I love conspiracy theories. That's a big fun thing through the podcast. I mean, with the news going through, it's not conspiracy theories. It's just kind of the news, apparently. So it's kind of like where do we draw the lines on that? But like I got into Gaia. I like went through a real big like Ram Dass mushrooms yoga phase during the pandemic, and it was just like I got into Gaia through the yoga side of it. And then my ex was like, "Hey, do you know that like half of the yoga practitioners on here are like canceled from everywhere for like weird sexual stuff?" So I was like, okay, cool. Like this is so that's a nice little side angle of that business. But and like especially since you're in on like if aliens are real, it's not even like a question. I've got like a oil painting of one behind me. Like I'm all in on where do you like draw the line? It's like like you were saying, the guy who was part of like the UN kind of deal, like meeting with aliens and like there's that old like Eisenhower wasn't down there for like a tooth surgery. He was actually meeting up with like the Greys or whatever to set up the alliance and make sure that we could have some people for them to experiment on and like that's why they haven't killed us yet. Like where exactly is the line? But and I mean obviously like weird super soldiers that like don't really go because it's all in Corey Good's head and shit like that. Like that's an obvious kind of like, but like this guy who's like, oh, I'm on the Galactic Federation. Where do we like draw the line on what's kind of believable and like the things that we've kind of just decided are actually real?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part, trying to draw a line in the sand between what seems credible in the UFO community and
Right.
history and absolute utter bullshit. Um, I'm used to producing films that kind of promote the realistic side of things in terms of the UFO phenomenon. Um, but the Dark Alliance films I wanted to also produce to say like, you know, cautionary tale here, maybe people are getting a bit carried away, and how do we know that this isn't going to cause psychosis among people in the UFO community, right? Um, or just hurt the efforts of real research and real UFO phenomena. So um, I find it important to kind of examine all of these stories. But obviously, if I'm making this more like a comedy, I am
Sure.
thinking it's more absurd than realistic. I would think that if there is a secret space program, a real one, it's in the best interests of the DoD and the intelligence agencies to flood the zone through Gaia TV or
Mhm.
through YouTube and all these other conferences that are being held regarding UFOs with bullshit. And I think entertainment and reality is starting to blur, like those lines
Mhm.
between entertainment and reality right now, because um, you saw for yourself how long have we had reptilians and you know med beds and secret space program themes in popular sci-fi
Yeah.
throughout the decades before these guys started saying it's all real, right? Like Star Trek has had the bio beds, Elysium had a med bed people could be healed in. Um, I mean, there's the Fifth Element where somebody gets put back together from a fragment of a body part left over, an ancient body part, right? Um,
And of
that's how
course, we're
that
going to
movie
use it on
started.
like our just on dicks. Like that's what we're mostly going to use it for. Like that one guy.
Yeah, Randy Kramer.
Yeah.
In in the UFO community, Randy Kramer has said that he was a secret space program super soldier, and he went to Mars and fought wars against aliens for on behalf of the world, right? Like a total Buck Rogers superhero in space.
And thank
And
you for your
then
service,
not
honestly.
yeah, seriously, dude, we need all the help we can get. But then he claimed that, well, in these wars it would happen so often that his arms or legs would get blown off and they would just go, oh, throw Randy into the med bed and his appendages will come back like that, right?
Right.
So subsequently, after telling this story in the UFO community at conferences and on interviews like this for popular UFO podcasts and stuff, he started raising money for a physical med bed that he said he was going to build and sell to people to cure themselves. Last year, Trump's Truth Social published a really strange AI produced video that proclaimed that there's going to be these medbed hospitals rolled out across America. And you would get a medbed card as a patient, and you could walk into any of these facilities and get your body replenished, repaired if you were part of this new medbed hospital network. Um, really weird stuff. So this is all part of the secret space program mythos,
Sure.
and those lines between reality and bullshit science fiction are like becoming near impossible to interpret for people out there. I wouldn't say you and I. Maybe you believe in med beds, but I don't believe in med beds.
Oh,
I think it's a scam. And the United States president is posting about them. So obviously he didn't post that. One of his social media managers did, but it's a scary thought that the social media managers for one of the most powerful man in the world right now is posting secret space program scams.
Well, and that's like another big part of it too. And I have like a weird pet conspiracy theory of my own, and I'm sure other people have had something similar, where like we're like they kind of telegraph what they're gonna like give us in the future through entertainment. Like so it's like a slow rollout. So all of a sudden when the aliens show up, we're like, oh, X-Files, whatever, we'll fucking figure it out. We're beating them in Independence Day, et cetera, et cetera. And like these medbed things, I'm sure there's some sort of regenerative technology they've been working on in some secret lab somewhere. But like I always, and I do think like the misinformation side of it. I mean, the idea of conspiracy theories is after like JFK and all of that, where they're like, we're gonna make them all sound like nuts by putting all of this crazy information out there. But like, it's always just so fun to like to see it in a show and then like 20 years later where it's like, oh, this actually was on its way out. So were they inspired by the show or was it like this is something that we're going to trickle out slowly and we don't want to freak people out? Like it's the chicken or the egg thing.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I was thinking about the
Yeah,
film The Siege. I don't know, have you ever seen The Siege with Denzel Washington?
I have not, no.
So that came out, I think, in the 90s, maybe early 2000. Or yeah, it had to come out in the 90s. Came out in the 90s. Subsequently, the World Trade Center was attacked, right? Um,
Yeah.
and people sort of say, okay, that's like Hollywood putting into out into the open what is going to happen eventually. Um, but like for this stuff, like I said, I think there would be a practical secret space program. I think there would
Sure.
be reverse engineering of UFO technology and stuff like that. I just don't think these guys are part of it. You know what I mean?
There's that one of like we kind of have to look in a mirror a little bit on who's saying what because like I even made a note of like and we don't need to go like deep on Corey Good because if people want the story on this dude just watch the documentaries because you do a great job of doing that. But as soon as I saw him in his depositions with like that hand sleeve, I was like, this dude didn't do any of this shit. Like you're not like gonna go with like you're not gonna have a carpal tunnel hand sleeve and go and talk about being like a super soldier or like taking on like space Satan or whatever the fuck they were all doing. Like they just like it's like you know what like at what point is it like obviously there's some sort of money involved in it, otherwise they wouldn't do it. But like at what point do you think that they're just like, okay, we just have to keep building because now we're starting to lose like interest? Because like, yeah, cool, maybe secret space program. That's something I could get down and be like, yeah, sure, whatever. Why wouldn't we have something set up like that if aliens are real and we're the most powerful country in the world, et cetera, whatever. Like, why wouldn't we have that? That seems like a good idea. Why couldn't these guys just like grift at that? Like, is it just kind of like what's happening with my beloved president of like, okay, you already won. Why don't we just like get the grift instead of like now maybe killing all of us because we need more money? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think that this whole community, like the secret space program community, are the sketchiest of the UFO grifters because literally the only way that these stories are validated is by another one of them coming along and being like, yes, and like it's
Yeah.
improv.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, and they carry on the story of the other person saying it. The interesting thing though, there is a bit of a war between them. So Corey Good, the guy you were talking about in the legal deposition, he was the one that first blew up and became super famous in this secret space program uh, phenomenon community that was created by Gaia TV. They platformed him. And it seems whenever they platform somebody, those people blow up. And then they go on, and some of them go on Joe Rogan and all these other popular massive multipliers in marketing. But he hated Tony Rodriguez, who's
Okay.
in this Dark Alliance Next Generation doc, because Tony sort of entered the scene after Corey created it. And he continues to be invited to lectures and conferences on this subject, whereas Corey isn't. Corey got
Sure.
into these legal battles with Gaia TV. Jay Widener, the former head of production there, the former CEO of Gaia, like he sued everybody after he left because he wants to own this intellectual property that he says he created. And that's the interesting thing too, that it points to like a greed intention rather than some altruistic intention to inform the public that we're not alone and there's a secret space program. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
and I mean, well, there's that. Sorry to butt in on it, but like, there's also like that angle of like at the deposition where he has to be basically say like, yeah, yeah, I made this all up, but like I just still want my money from it. And then like at the same time being like, hey, I'm trying to get like on his website being like, I'm trying to take the truth down, or like they're trying to ruin the truth and trying to take me down, and like okay, at the same time you're saying that it's fake, but like still fundraising on it being real. Like there's like it's that like weird like I'm never gonna get caught thing, that like he, if it
yeah,
wasn't for this like you'd find it somewhere else, you know.
well, it's like what P.T. Barnum said almost 100 years ago, right? It's like there's a sucker born every minute.
Yeah, yeah,
And these type of people are relying on that statistic, right? They're hoping that the next gullible person with money comes along and funds their lifestyle. Um, so with Corey, he's got this fund on his website called the Legal Light Warrior,
hell
and
yeah.
you know, heiresses to massive fortunes that have believed this whole LARP, they've donated hundreds of thousands of money to him, and he turns around and then sues people and uses those funds to enact this sort of legal warfare against his detractors, right? Um, and the Gaia TV lawsuit, if he wins that, he's going to gain millions of dollars because
Right.
every time that they technically sold that show on their network or off network somehow, and promoted that story, and it kept making sales, they owe him for each of those sales if he can prove it's his intellectual property. Uh, the court case is still going on, and he's been found to perjure himself in the court case against Gaia. You know, when I first, so it, long story short, that court case is not going very well for him. And when I interviewed Jay Widener in the original Dark Alliance doc that I released, as the head of production at Gaia, he was the sort of stoic on-set guy that was envisioning how to film this and make it seem believable. He was
Sure.
directing Corey on how to carry himself on camera. He was literally creating the the legend, right? He ends up getting burnt out on it, finds out he's got cancer, leaves Gaia, and then everybody's getting sued, including him. And Gaia didn't like pay for his legal bills or anything like that. But when I interviewed him, he was still in that court case. And I think he spent about $60,000 in legal bills just to, defend himself. And that's a lot of money, right?
Yeah, for
For
sure.
most people. But he eventually won because the court case got thrown away because Corey's lawyer, never submitted any documents to court that would prove his claims of defamation, harassment, cyberbullying, or whatever all the things that were inside of that complaint. Another lawsuit between him and Leon Isaac Kennedy, the African American actor who was famous in Penitentiary, the prison action films in the 80s. His court case got dismissed as well without prejudice. And the Gaia case is kind of like the ultimate case.
Interesting. And that actor you're talking about, when I first saw him, I was like, how the fuck did Darcy get Billy D. Williams on this guy on this thing? I was like, like instantly. And then I was like, oh, that's not like not all black people look the same, but he is pretty damn close. Uh Here's the thing on
He's better than
also.
Billy D. Williams.
You know what? Put it in the fucking sand right now. We'll put it on here. So, all right, let's go to like the real stuff just for like a hot second. What do you think is going on with these like disappearing scientists over the last couple of weeks? I found out about it through the Tim Dillon show originally, and that's like right after you had reached out. So I was like, oh fuck, like let's look into this a little bit more. And I'm kind of like a Wright Patterson in first base like nerd a little bit because I'm from Ohio. Like I'm from a couple hours away from there. So like knowing
Nice.
all the shit came from Roswell like forever ago. So like Area 51's not even the right spot, et cetera, et cetera. Like all of that stuff has been like a fun little party conversation. But like, what do you, since you're kind of more in this world, what do you think's going on with that? Because it's obviously something.
Yeah. I mean, it's really weird. I think the people that tend to disappear or get whacked randomly tend to be working on these free energy like
Yeah,
technologies, or like the guy who created the hydrogen car and was running his house on
sure.
hydrogen technology that he made basically hydrogen fuel cells. Um, he was whacked back in the I think it was 90s. There's all these people that create things like Searle effect generators, like little kind of magnet based or
Mhm.
0 point energy devices that can create electricity without fossil fuels or solar panels and stuff. They tend to go missing or get whacked. Um, former general William Neal McCaslin, he's gone missing, and that was February 27th of this year. He took his gun with him. He was supposed to be just going on a hike. His wife has no idea why he would have taken a gun because he's never done that before. He took his wallet too, I guess, and that was all. Everything else was left. Um, Recently, she said that I think it was his intention to disappear. So, in the UFO community, conspiracy runs rampant, and people say he was disappeared to like an underground base or something. Now that we're in like World War III, and possibly
Sure.
he would be needed or something for these black budget sort of military use cases, but there's no evidence of that. There is evidence that he's gone missing. And he was the general that was running the metamaterials command center at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. That is an important location of technology research, because metamaterials are essentially that it's like the mix of physics and it's the mix of physics research with cutting technology in order to have an advantage over your adversary. So, for example, the B-2 bomber and the F-117, right? The stealth fighter. They're created, they look like these black triangles that have all these sharp edges. And that is a metamaterial science right there, because you've created a form factor that does not allow radio, what do you call it? Not radio.
Like radio waves, sonar, radar, all of that stuff.
Radar. It doesn't let radar waves bounce. So it creates an anomaly when radar waves hit that surface that other objects like the fuselage of a commercial aircraft like a Boeing 747 would bounce back, ping back radar really quickly because it's rounded and all that, right? But then the metamaterials facility at Wright-Pat is advancing those types of technologies, and guys like Ben Rich, who ran Skunk Works for Lockheed Martin, and that led to things like the B-2 stealth bomber. They said to people like an aviation spook, let's call him, or researcher that I've interviewed called
for sure,
named Jim Goodall. He said to Jim Goodall before he passed away that, we've got the technology to take ET home. And Ben also said, you see films like Star Trek and Star Wars, the technologies in those films, we either exploited that or tried it and figured it out it wasn't worth pursuing anymore. So that's the type of activity that is alleged to be done, like you said, at Area 51, but is most likely being carried out at places like Wright-Patterson Air Force Base at the Metamaterials Lab, the research center there. And there's a scientist, Reza, I can't remember her last name. I'll have to look it up for you real quick, but she worked under General William Neil McCaslin, and Reza went missing in 2025. She was on a hike. What's with these hikes?
What's with these hikes? And it's hikes in shallow water. That's what gets everybody.
Shallow water, yeah, like missing 411. Monica Reza, right? 60-year-old aerospace engineer, vanished June 22nd, 2025, while hiking in California's Angeles National Rainforest near Mount Waterman. And so the testimony from her friends is that we were hiking, 2 other people. She was right behind them. And 20 minutes later, they kind of do an about face, turn around, and she's completely disappeared. No sign of her. They went looking for her, no luck. So she was working on metamaterials under Neil McCaslin. Why these scientists are going missing right now, I don't know. Are they being whacked? But Tim Dillon, I watched his really funny ass bit on that, and he's like, you deserved it because you did things that are too interesting, right? But I don't know. I don't think they deserved it. I think if anything,
no. But that points to like the guys who come out of like the secret space project, and it's like, okay, either you're obviously misinformation, or like you're dumb enough that like they're letting you live. Like they're not letting, if it's that secret, they're not letting it get out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like William Neal McCaslin and Monica Reza are gone.
Yeah.
And they've never gone to the public and said, I worked on this and this and this, right? If you're going to the public and saying, I worked on this and this and this, chances are you're full of shit because you would have been gone missing already. You know what I mean? I think, like I said, it's flooding the zone with bullshit so that people don't take this sort of stuff seriously. And they go back to, you know, uh, getting their brains knocked in playing like sports or uh, watching that.
Yeah, what we're not going to do is slander the NFL or football or brain trauma, okay? This is
Or
the
UFC. UFC,
I'm a,
number one
I'm
brain
not a,
knocking right there.
yeah, well, you can shit on UFC. I fell out on that one. I just like a couple more. I'm not gonna steal all of your time. The Epstein files, like for real, like being real, and like the however Haim Mashad, like that Israeli defense minister guy at the end of it. So like what does that do since your documentary came out in 25 and like more stuff has like trickled out since all of that? Like how does that make you look at maybe like okay, maybe there is something more to like what these people were up to now that we see kind of like we'll say shenanigans that Israel's been up to and all of their like information collecting and like do you see things in a different view now that more like quote unquote conspiracy stuff is like actually real and like part of like purposeful campaigns?
Yeah, I think we're living in psyop land, right? Like we're living in the most propagandized time ever.
Sure.
Um, we're not talking about like post World War II where ads were put out that cigarettes were good for you. We're talking about um, the president of the United States publishing on his massive social media platform that there's medbed hospitals and there's no
Right.
such thing as a med, right? Like it's part of science fiction. But the false hope that you generate with that is a distraction. And when you create that false hope and distract people away from the Epstein files and all these other relevant things, which are very real, I think there are groups in the world that are linked to something like Illuminati. And
Sure.
those strange people that have incredible amounts of power tend to have desires that are very unsavory to the average citizen, which includes pedo shit. You probably
And
want to
eating
bleep that word.
children. No, 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 no. You that we say that they are satanic, cannibalistic pedophiles pretty openly on this podcast. So it's a real bummer, but that's just
Yeah,
who's
so
running our country.
I think that's like unfortunately a reality. Whether they're satanic or they're just crazy assholes with tons of
Sure.
power, I'll let people choose their flavor of that story. But I think that's a reality, and because we live in psyop land, you know, UFOs, which are real, which
Hmm.
could be American assets, they could be, you know, extraterrestrial assets or something in between. Um, that whole story is now also being co-opted by the presidential administration that's running the show.
Hmm.
And so they're going to probably tell, like, if the med bed bullshit is any indication that they're willing to go that far, Imagine what they're
Right.
going to do with the UFO community and with the UFO story, right? I'm sure they're going to say there's reptilians here, there's a galactic federation, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. I don't know. I just speak to the pilots who've been part of it, and maybe
Right.
some of them are very good people and handsome looking galactic
Yep.
federation
Yep.
members. I think some of them are upstanding galactic citizens, but like that might be a speech at a podium. I wouldn't be surprised because it would fall
I
in
think he
line
just
with
wrote it. Like that's gonna be the exact fucking speech. Like I don't know if you're looking for a job outside of documentaries, but like writing writing speeches for our beloved president, it might be up your alley.
maybe. Yeah. Tell him to call me. He's got 3 billion, so he could share some of that with me. Um,
Bro. Yeah,
I
sorry,
mean,
continue.
it's just uh I think it's a sign of the times, the fact that this stuff is popular. And I often wonder if the media complexes that have promoted this in the sort of conspiracy community, but also beyond that, are in on it in some way or are part of the intelligence complex, right? So, guy at TV, Jay Widener told me, which I didn't put into the docs, but I have it on camera. He was like, I got a call the month before Corey Good entered the scene, and the guy identified himself as somebody who's with the CIA and warned me that I'm going to go through great change. Somebody's going to be entering my life that creates this whole drama, and I'm going to suffer health complications, and I'm eventually going to rise above it, but it's going to cause tons of trials and tribulations or whatever. And he was spooked by that because in hindsight now he looks back and all those things came true.
Yeah.
I wonder if um influencers are even it, like you look at some of these really really popular UFO channels. I wonder if they're being used by intelligence agencies. You know what I mean? Some of them showed up in like the past 12 months to 24 months, and they've got the biggest platforms for the conversation, you know? Um, so that's a really weird and possibly real thing to this whole mess, right? You would think if we lived in a civilization and a society where you want everybody to have the best opportunities, the best health, the best information to empower them and their families, that this stuff and these types of networks and influences wouldn't even exist. But instead, there are people that are probably, holding their 5-year-old kid's hand as they watch this misinformation on their TV, on their phone, and eat this stuff up as if it's all real. That to me looks like we live in some kind of weird hellverse timeline that's not going to go very well for everybody long term because people believe med beds are real and the president just posted about them. You know what I mean? I'll keep going back to that.
No, I mean, I can't get fucking health care, but like magic rocks in a bed are gonna help my arm grow back if I blow it off on 4th of July or something. Like it's an insane time to be alive, and I don't think that you probably could have put a cap on this any better because that's kind of like that's a theme of the podcast a little bit of like all of these people who like say they care about you and want to show you the capital T truth and want to pull back the veil. It's all the grift. Somebody's getting money off of it and taking all of your money. And unfortunately, there are dummies out there that are going to fall for it. But also, like, at a certain point, the adults have to step in and just be like, "Hey guys, what are we doing? And why is the system set up for that to be able to be done?" We don't need like the government in my living room I mean, they're in my living room with the fucking TVs and whatnot, but like they don't need to be like in my wallet making sure that I buy the right thing. But also, like, hey, maybe that shouldn't be an opportunity for somebody to step in and just like, as the president, like, pimp out fucking beds made with rocks and then that heal you. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I'll just say it again. It's like with great power comes great responsibility, and that responsibility seems to be misused all the time, and people are just being taken advantage of. So it's like, what are we doing here? Why is no one else talking about this or documenting this and trying to get it out to the masses? Like, and of course, I'm not getting it out to the masses. Nobody big is platforming me for this
That
story.
hurts my
Want...
feelings. God damn it, Darcy.
No, but like, you're cool, and I appreciate
No, I get it. I know what you
your
mean.
content. And I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, for sure. Let's talk about this. You get it. But like, you know, it would be great if bigger voices took notice of
definitely.
the like psychotic shit that's going on and tried to stop it, right? Like, this is going to destroy society in some way if it continues to take root, especially with like the richest and most powerful man on the world promoting it.
100%. All right, man. I'm like that's a perfect way to cap this off. This couldn't have been any better. I super appreciate you coming on. I'll definitely tag you in all the stuff, but is there a spot where everybody can find you that we want to push them to?
Yeah, sure. I mean, people can search my name, Darcy Weir, on Tubi TV or Amazon Prime. Dark Alliance is free to watch on Tubi. And then if they want to go to my studio site, occultjourneys.com, they're free to do that. And I'm on X at Occult Journeys and Instagram, Darcy Weir Films. So thanks for having me on. Happy to connect, and really cool to have a conversation with you about this.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you so much.
Awesome.